This YouTube episode is brought to you by Double Down Casino. Practice poker with Double Down by visiting www.doubledowncasino.com. Enter promo code HPT, the number 4, Double Down to receive 1 million in virtual chips. Enjoy.
This is the HPT.
Sit right down, put on your poker face, you with the big dogs now. Better bring your best game, talk trash all you want. To me it's all the same, you won't leave with much when you come in second place. And I'm the one with the stack showing 7 to the jack. Gon' cry to your mama cause I'm sending you back. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand. Last man standing with the money in my hand. I'll be the last man standing with the money in my hand.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the HPT. I'm James Larson, joined by professional poker player Maria Ho. This week we are in Reno, Nevada as we wrap up our event here at the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino.
And we're going to pick up right where we left off last week with 4 players remaining here battling it out to become the next HPT champion. The 4th place finishers guaranteed to take home over $26,000, but the real money that they're looking at up top, first place prize of just under $90,000. Each of the remaining players is guaranteed a pretty good chunk of change, but none of these players have made it this far to give up on first place prize now.
That's the truth, Maria. Everybody's going to go home with a nice little payday, but only one of these 4 players will walk away with a huge smile on their face as they're our newest HPT champion. The good news is that the HPT structure, designed by Daniel Negreanu, gives them all plenty of time to play their game.
This deep structure really makes it a lot harder for luck to decide the outcome, although we know luck is always a pretty big part of it. And that's the beauty of this game. Anybody can come out on top on any given day.
And the only guarantee in poker is there is no guarantee. So now with no further ado, let's head inside LEX Nightclub and meet our final 4 players and take a look at their chip counts.
I'm Steve Foudy from the Bay Area and I live in Las Vegas, Nevada.
My name is James Hayes and I'm from Sebastopol, California. I want to give a shout out to my kids, Reed and Evan and Avery, my girlfriend Maritza, and all the Sebastopol Poker Kings.
My name's Zach Gilbert, and I'm from Reno, Nevada.
My name's Zephyr Pelling. I'm from Santa Rosa, California. I got the chip lead, and things have been going pretty good for me, so hope to keep it rolling.
Zephyr Pelling is our chip leader. He has 3.3 million. Steve Foudy has 2 million and change. James Hayes has over 1.5 million. And our short stack is Zach Gilbert with 852,000.
Life-changing cash up top, $89,484. All right, Maria, the blinds are going to start off at $20,000, $40,000, $5K ante. Let's get the cards in the air. I'm excited to crown our newest HPT champion.
Zach Gilbert is first to act. He looks down at ace-queen offsuit. I like how close all of the remaining 4 players are still sitting next to each other. It's like, you guys could spread out a little.
Action is on Zach. He's only got $375 invested in this event. And right now the min cash just over $26,000. So a great return on his investment. Maria, he's going to raise it up to $90K with his ace-queen.
Zephyr calls on the button with king-queen. And the small blind of Steve folds. James looks down at ace-8 offsuit, and he's going to defend from the big blind.
3 players go to the flop. And the flop is 2 10s and a 6.
So Zach's ace-queen high is best here. James also has an ace-high. Zephyr's just got 2 overcards to this board.
It's checked over to Zephyr. Talked about him in last week's episode. I like the scarf. I like the shades. I like the look. Didn't hear him say one word on last week's episode. I expect the same out of him tonight. Jack of hearts comes on the turn.
I'm surprised all the players check the flop. I think a lot of times when you're in position, you should maybe take a stab, but either way, both James and Zach checks it over to Zephyr, who now has an open-ended straight draw, so he is going to semi-bluff here, bets 110,000. James is going to fold.
Action on Zach.
Zephyr also has the king of hearts in his hand as well. With 3 hearts on the board, if a 4th heart were to come on the river, then Zephyr could also make a flush.
And Zach is going to go ahead and make the call.
Zach's got a gut shot to Broadway.
River card now is the tray of diamonds, missing both players.
So now Zach is hoping to go to showdown, and Zephyr doesn't know this, but he can't win at showdown, so I would have liked to see him try to follow up his turn bet with a river bet, but now Zach is just going to take this pot down with ace high.
Zach Gilbert, like I said, into this event for only $375. Min cash $26,472, but up top, it's what everybody wants, $89,484.
This final table just got underway, so you can be sure that there will be a lot more action to come.
Welcome back. It's Amber Fukuda at the HPT final table. Let's get those cards back in the air.
Zephyr Pelling is still our chip leader. He's just got under 3 million. Steve Foudy has just over 2 million. James Hayes 1.7 million, and Zach Gilbert with over 1.1 million, but still a healthy stack of just about 30 big blinds.
Action continues at our nationally televised final table. Blinds 20,000, 40,000 with a 5K ante. Look at the rail. Look at the folks out there. We got cowboy hats. We got sharp-dressed folks in the front row. Always fun to be out here in Reno, Nevada.
The Wild West. James Hayes on the button here, looks down at ace 9.
James, another player at this final table, we saw it last week, doesn't say a word to anybody. He's got his sunglasses on. Do you like that approach to the final table?
I think it just depends on what the reasoning behind it is. If you don't feel like you're somebody who could talk and play their best game, then you know you're obviously here to win. You're here to play for a lot of money. So why create these distractions for yourself? But you know, poker's supposed to be a fun game, so I usually like to hear players interact with each other.
Flop is 9-8-5.
Zephyr has Jack 9 here, so he's flopped top pair. James has top pair of 9s, but with the best kicker.
It's checked over to James. He told us his plans for the cash are to take a vacation. He's going to bet $150,000.
And I don't see Zephyr doing anything else but at least calling here. He's got top pair.
Zephyr has a master's in management. He went to school in London. I've never been to London. I'd like to visit sometime, Maria.
It's a beautiful place. Weather's not ideal, but it's a great city.
Zephyr's going to make the call.
Turn is the ace of spades, so now James has improved to top 2 pair. And actually, this might save Zephyr some money. I'm sure he probably doesn't like that turn card very much. He still has middle pair, but James came into this pot raising, so it's likely that that ace could have hit his hand.
So Zephyr checks. Now James bets 150,000 chips.
Yeah, you can't really fault Zephyr for calling here. He can't just automatically assume that this ace has hit James. And like I said, he still has middle pair.
River card now, the 10 of spades. Once again, Zephyr's first. He's going to check.
I'm surprised that James just goes to showdown here. I think I still would have tried to go for value bet. I don't think Zephyr would have called, but you definitely don't ever want to miss value when you're making hands.
Winner of that hand is James Hayes. Well, there's a little emotion out of James as he takes his sunglasses off and smiles a little bit. A lot of cash on the line up top, $89,484. Maria, that money can really go a long ways and obviously help your poker bankroll.
Yeah, I know the first time that I had a huge 6-figure score, I definitely put most of that back into my poker bankroll, and lucky for me, it's worked out.
Action now to Zephyr. He's going to raise to 80,000 with Queen 8.
And now Steve in the small blind looks down at Ace King and just calls. I'm a little surprised by this. Four-handed, you really have to 3-bet a hand like that, especially when you're out of position.
Call. Action to James Hayes now, and he's going to make the call with King Queen. So 3 players now to the flop. And the flop is Queen 9 deuce, couple of diamonds.
So both James and Zephyr have outflopped Steve. James has the best kicker, though, with his pair of queens.
James is going to bet 125,000 chips.
Once again, Zephyr finds himself with the second best hand. He has some kicker problems here. Steve is going to fold, and, you know, it's like he lost the minimum on this hand, maybe, because if he 3-bet, you know, he might have been able to take the pot down right then and there. But, you know, you never know exactly what players are thinking.
Turn card now, the 6 of spades. Action once again is on James.
think I like to see at least half pot, if not more. There's a few draws on this board. I think 300,000 would be about right.
And that's the bet. 300,000 chips over to Zephyr.
I don't really see Zephyr folding top pair, especially like I said, there were a couple of draws on the flop, some straight draw possible, some flush draws possible. Zephyr's just hoping that that's what James is betting on is the come.
And Zephyr's going to go ahead and make the call. We go to the river now. It's the Jack of Diamonds.
And I think that's a scary river for James, but it looks like he's reaching for chips.
$450.
James is going to go ahead and bet it. 450,000 chips. A pot of over 1.5 million now, Maria.
Fairly certain that Zephyr's going to fold to this bet because if he puts James on a draw, a lot of draws did get there. I'd like to see Zephyr make this laydown. James hasn't really shown himself to be a player who necessarily bluffs a lot, so I think you got to give him some credit for this bet here, especially with that kind of board texture.
He's reaching for chips. And he's going to go ahead and make the call.
You know, we've seen Zephyr do this before. I think he sometimes just is not a believer, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
That, and he's been second best the last couple of hands. This episode of the HPT is brought to you by our friends at Double Down Casino. Get started today with 1 million free virtual chips by visiting www.doubledowncasino.com. Enter promo code HPT for Double Down. That's promo code HPT for Double Down. You can also find Double Down Casino on Facebook, iOS, or Android stores. It's time to step aside for a quick commercial break, but when we come back, more exciting HPT action. Welcome back to the HPT. It's James Larson and the beautiful Maria Ho. We are in Reno, Nevada, here at the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino. I'll be honest with you, Maria, I don't really want to go home. This place is top-notch, a premium resort hotel property, and Amber gives us a behind-the-scenes look.
I'm here at LEX, a brand new nightclub at the Grand Sierra, where I just ordered myself a signature cocktail called the Cotton Candy Martini. Let's see how it tastes. That's fantastic. If the club is even half as good as this cocktail, I think I'm going to have a good time. Let's go inside and check it out. Whew! What a night. I'm a Vegas girl, so I love to have fun, and Lex definitely did not disappoint. It's been quite a day here at the Grand Sierra. I'm Amber Fukuda with HPT.
James Hayes is our chip leader. He's got 3.3 million. Stephen Foudy has 2.6 million. Zephyr Pelling, who started this final table as our chip leader, has 1.1 million. And Zach Gilbert is our short stack with just under 600,000.
Action will start with Steve Foudy. He folds.
James Hayes in the small blind here. He's going to limp in with deuces. Zach checks his option with 10-9 offsuit.
All right, and the flop is Jack 7-4, couple of diamonds.
James is going to bet, and Zach moves all in with just a gut shot straight draw. And it's really not that much more for James to call, so he is going to call, and now Zach is at risk here. James has pocket deuces, which is actually the best hand right now. Zach has 2 overs and a gut shot straight draw.
Maria, I need to ask, who do you like here at this final table to go ahead and win this whole thing, if you had to pick one player?
It's hard to say. I do think that Zach has been fairly collected this entire time, and I like the pace of his game.
All right, let's see the turn card.
The turn card now is the 4 of clubs.
Zach is looking for a 10, a 9, or an 8 in order to survive.
The river. Picked up more out.
River card, the tray of diamonds, so that is going to do it. James wins the hand. Zach Gilbert eliminated, going out in fourth place, Maria, with just over $26,000. Nice return on his investment. Like we said before, he's only got $375 invested in this HPT event.
Well, I'm glad I picked him to be my horse just right before he gets knocked out.
Blinds going up now, $25,000, $50,000 with a 5K ante.
Action starts on James Hayes, and he looks down at ace-queen offsuit, and he's first to act.
He's going to go ahead and raise it up to 100,000 chips. Action now over to Zephyr. Zephyr just not having the best of luck so far at this final table, but Maria, it looks like things are turning around for him as he looks down at pocket aces.
Nothing better than to get dealt the best starting hand in poker, especially when you're three-handed. He's going to re-raise it to $275,000 from the small blind.
Action now to Steve in seat 6. He folds.
And James goes all in. Zephyr quickly makes the call here. I think James might have just said oops, and yeah, it's a little bit of a oops, but you know what? Three-handed, you can't really be laying down ace-queen necessarily. You just got coolered a bit. Zephyr is the one at risk, though. James has him well covered.
275.
I was just talking about how Zephyr wasn't really running that well here at this final table, but he's hoping that's going to change right here with a big double up. The flop is 2 deuces and a 7.
Great flop for Zephyr. He's also got the ace of hearts in his hand.
Turn card now, the 4 of diamonds.
This means James is drawing dead now. The river card is irrelevant. Zephyr's going to get a full double up and stay in the hunt for this HPT title.
Little bit of a cooler there for James Hayes. Things were running pretty well for him until he ran his ace-queen right into the aces of Zephyr. And finally, a little motion out of Z there as he smiles, looks over to his friends in the rail, and we continue action here from the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino. It's James Larson and Maria Hope. Lines $25,000, $50,000 with a 5K ante, and Maria up top, $89,484. Zephyr, he looks down at King Queen. He's going to make the call. Now over to Steve Foudy. Not sure what Steve's thinking here, but possibly a raise from the big blind.
And Steve decides he wants to get a little bit aggressive here. He raises to $140,000 with Jack 6.
Action over to Zephyr. Recently had that big double up with his pocket aces. He's going to make the call. So Steve and Zephyr will go to the flop. Minimum cash right now for these players, $26,472. Couple of 4s and a 7 is the flop.
So Zephyr's got 2 overcards in the best hand, but he doesn't know it. Steve is the one who took the aggressive lead in the hand. So let's see if he's going to follow that up with a continuation bet.
He's going to go ahead and check. Turn card now, the 6 of clubs.
I think Steve should have bet that flop, but now he has the best hand turning a pair, but he still checks back. And this is kind of my problem is you take the lead pre-flop, you raise with, not a good hand, but you got to keep up that aggressive action.
Zephyr's going to check. Might see one more check out of Steve here.
Why are you not getting value from your hand? There we go. That's what I like to see.
He's grabbing chips. 80,000. Zephyr quickly folds, and the winner of the hand, Steve Foudy. It's time to step aside, Maria, for a quick commercial break. But when we come back, more exciting final table action. You're watching the HPT.
Welcome back. We're three-handed here at the Grand Sierra. Only 2 eliminations left until we crown our newest HPT champion. Let's get back to the felt.
James Hayes is the chip leader. He's got $3.2 million. Steve Foudy, $2.6 million. And Zephyr Pelling, $1.8 million. All 3 players with healthy stacks.
Lines are now $30,000, $60,000 with a 10K ante.
Steve has 10-9 suited from the small blind, and he limps in.
Then the option is checked by James. So 2 players going to the flop.
James has flopped 2 pair, 10s and 6s. Steven's flopped middle pair here.
James never afraid to put a bet out there.
Steve checks it over to him with middle pair.
And now a bet by James of 110,000 chips. Action back to Steve. Do you see Steve raising here now?
No, I think Steve's just planning on check calling. Steve does make the call.
Turn card now, Jack of clubs.
So now Steve has an open-ended straight draw with his middle pair. Checks it again, though.
James reaching for chips. And the bet is 250,000 chips. Back over to Steve.
I don't see Steve going anywhere. He's not sure if his 10 is good, but he does have an open-ended straight draw as well.
Steve grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada. Just over 300,000 in total career winnings.
And Steve does make the call.
And the river card is the King of Hearts.
Steven actually rivers a king high straight here. And James is smart enough to check back after that bad run out for his hand. And Steven's going to take down this pot.
9 for the straight.
Blinds 30,000, 60,000 with a 10K ante. James Larson and Maria Ho with you.
James Hayes on the button here. He's going to let it go. Zephyr with 16 big blinds moves it all in the middle with King 5 offsuit.
And look at Zephyr. He's like James Bond. He's got his coffee in one hand, the toothpick, and he politely says, I'm all in.
I think it's a pretty good move, except for the fact that Steve Foudy wakes up with big slick here and he calls. So Zephyr is very behind on this hand. He needs a 5 in order to stay alive.
Zephyr ran his hand right into the buzzsaw. Ace King for Steve. And we go to the flop now. It's 7-6 deuce, couple of diamonds. Zephyr told us how he prepared for the day. He ate a Denver skillet and a couple cups of coffee.
So now he's probably had 7 cups of coffee so far today. The turn is the 6 of spades. No help to Zephyr. He is down to just the river card, hoping to hit his 5.
Steve hoping his hand holds up. And the river card, it is not a 5, it's the 4 of clubs, and that is going to do it for Zephyr. He is eliminated in 3rd place, going home with just over $37,000.
Zephyr Pelling started our final table as the chip leader. He has been eliminated in 3rd place. Played a pretty good game throughout, and he's now standing by with Amber to talk about his performance here at this HPT final table.
Hello everyone, I'm Amber Fukuda here at the final table for the HPT. I'm standing next to our 3rd place finisher, Zephyr. Zephyr, you played a really great game. The last hand was kind of a heartbreak. How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, just pretty standard spot. I had a king in the small blind, shipped it. Foudy kept having aces every small blind that I had, and I literally never had anything to play back at him with. So, yeah, kind of just standard spot, and that's how it goes.
Yeah, but you stuck through to the 3rd place. You still got a lot of money you're winning. Do you have any plans for it?
We'll see. Just put it in the bank and see where it goes.
Smart man, I like that. Well, thank you so much, Zephyr, and good luck to you for future events.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Let's take a break from the action here and go into our favorite segment on the show, A Poker Life with Doyle Brunson, brought to you by Double Down Casino. Visit www.doubledowncasino.com and receive 1 million virtual chips. Enter promo code HPT for Double Down. That's promo code HPT, the number 4, Double Down. This week, Doyle tells us the love story about the first time he met his now wife, Louise.
Well, I was in San Angelo. We were there playing poker, and I think we were booking sports a little bit too. And the Dixie Club was the name of this place, and we went out there to have a couple of beers, you know, and you meet people. And San Angelo was a very friendly West Texas town, and we went in, and there was another table over there that had some ladies at it, and went over and asked one of them to dance, and I danced with her. We talked to her and everything, and I could tell right away that she wasn't the caliber of a woman that I was used to being around, you know. And I was obviously I'd been looking, and I thought, well, this might be her. And so she went back and she sat down, and I went over a few times, and she wouldn't have a whole lot to do with me. I think right away I was in love. I pursued her after that. She was a pharmacist, and I would go into the drugstore every day, and I would make a pretense of buying something. But I was all trying to get a date with her, and she just wouldn't go. This went on for maybe a month or so, and she just kept turning me down. So I finally I gave up, and Sailor and I went to a steakhouse one night, and I saw her out there with a date. And I looked at this guy, and he was tall and skinny and looked like Don Knotts. And I said, well, good night. Looked like I could beat this guy's time. So I went back into the drugstore, and in the meantime, one of the ladies that ran one of the departments in the drugstore had found out all the details about me. I'd never been married, that I was a former star athlete and everything. And so, but anyway, before that, she agreed to go out with me. So that was the beginning of Louise, and I don't think I ever even dated anyone else after that.
Now, Maria, I was there for this interview, and I got to say, Doyle and Louise, these people were just so great to us. They invited us into their house. We interviewed them for over 3.5 hours. So, guys, one more time, I just want to say thank you for taking time out for the HPT. It's a Poker Life with Doyle Brunson, and it's brought to you by our friends at Double Down Casino. And you can visit them at www.doubledowncasino.com and receive your exclusive HPT bonus offer of 1 million virtual chips. Enter promo code HPT for Double Down. That's promo code HPT for Double Down. You can also find Double Down Casino on Facebook, iOS, or Android. When we come back, we'll have more exciting final table action coming to you from Reno, Nevada, right here at the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino. Welcome back to the HBT. It's James Larson and professional poker player Maria Ho. Only 2 players remain. We are finally down to heads-up poker as we come to you from the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino. Let's head down to the felt and pick up the action.
With 2 players remaining, Steve Foudy is the chip leader. He has $4.6 million to James Hayes' $3.1 million.
Steve wanted to say hello to his 21-year-old daughter. Sure, she's watching this on national television as we speak. Blinds 30,000, 60,000 with a 10K ante.
Did Steve have her when he was like 5, though? Seriously, how young does Steve look?
He does look very young. Hard to believe he's got a 21-year-old daughter.
James looks down at pocket 9s.
Over to Steve. Steve looks down at ace king. He's not going anywhere.
2 big hands colliding already at the start of heads-up play.
This could possibly be a quick heads-up match here, Maria, at this HPT nationally televised final table. Coming to you from Reno, Nevada, Grand Sierra Resort and Casino. We are inside the LEX Nightclub. 2 players remain. Your champion will go home with $89,484. There comes the 3-bet, Maria. $600,000. That's the total 3-bet. Look at that. James is smiling a little bit.
I think James is like, okay, I guess this is going to be a quick heads-up match. You surely cannot fold 9s here. It's a big hand heads up. But at the same time, Steven really hasn't gone out of line with 3-betting. He hasn't been that aggressive pre-flop. So, of course, James is going to tread a little bit lightly, but folding is not an option. James does make the call.
We'll go ahead and see a flop. It's Queen 10-8 Rainbow.
So Steve has 2 overcards, but also a gut shot to Broadway. James, who just moves all in here. I'm not really sure what James's rationale behind moving all in is. I mean, he could have bet and figured out where he was better, but if he gets called here, he probably isn't in a great spot. And while Steve does make the call, I'm surprised at the way this hand is played out on the flop, but all the chips are in the middle with James Hayes' life on the line.
And now, Maria, a huge pot here. Our first hand heads up. James is in the lead with his pocket 9s, but 2 big overs for Steve and the Broadway draw.
Steve's looking for an ace, a king, or a jack.
They both look pretty cool, though. Very calm. We're only playing for $55,000 and $90,000. No big deal. 4 of hearts comes on the turn.
No help to Steve, and the river is the deuce of clubs, so Steve is going to give James a full double up here. That's going to put James in a pretty good chip position.
The double up is complete. The pocket nines. The sunglasses can go back on, James, and you can start stacking chips.
James has about $6 million to Steve's $1.8 million now.
Blinds 30,000, 60,000, 10K ante. James and Maria tableside here, Grand Sierra Resort and Casino in Reno, Nevada. That man right there, Steve with the pocket sevens. He's first act.
He raises it to $120,000 from the button.
We mentioned this before. Steve was active military in the Army from 1993 until the year 2000.
And James makes the call with 10-8 of hearts.
And the flop is 8-7-5, all diamonds.
James has top pair, but Steve's flop middle set. He probably doesn't feel too good about this hand with 3 diamonds on board plus the straight draw.
James is going to bet $225,000 over to Steve, who flopped a set.
I think when this board is this wet, you really have to raise right here with middle set. You have to protect the value of your hand. There's a lot of bad cards that could come. Steve does go all in, though.
I call.
Oh, and he makes the call.
Steve does go all in, and yeah, I mean, kind of shocked that James calls pretty fast. Seems like James just wants to end this heads-up match.
I'm kind of thinking that too. Turn card now, the 8 of spades.
So actually, Steve improves to a boat, but James isn't drawing dead. If he could hit a 10, an 8, or a 5 on the river, he's going to be the winner.
And the river card is the Jack of diamonds. So Steve's going to win the hand with his full house. And we're going back and forth now, Maria.
They're trading chips a bit here in the first few hands of heads up, and now they've kind of evened the chip counts. These final two are battling it out hard, trying to take down that first place prize of just under $90K and the title of HPT champion. Come back after this quick break for more heads up action.
Welcome back to our coverage at the Grand Sierra. We've been grinding all day long to get to this point. We are now heads up. So let's get back to the table so we can find out who the next HPT champion will be.
James Hayes has a chip lead. It's pretty slight, though, with $4 million to Steve Foudy's $3.7 million.
I want to give a special thanks to our production crew for these beautiful pictures you're seeing on tonight's episode. These guys are the hardest working crew in show business, let me tell you. Lines are going up, 40,000, 80,000 with a 10K ante. We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Don't forget to check out our webpage, too, at hptpoker.com and come see us in person, play an event, and who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash. Steve's going to check his option, so it's Jack Trey going up against 10-9, and the flop is Queen 8-6, couple of clubs.
So James has flopped a flush draw. Steven has a gut shot straight draw.
Steve checks. James bets $125,000.
I think Steve's going to take one off here. He also has a backdoor flush draw with the 10 of clubs in his hand.
Steve's going to go ahead and make the call. Turn card now is the King of Clubs. Bingo, bango for James. He makes his flush.
So now James is happy to see that flush draw come in. Steve checks again to James. And I think if Steve sticks around and hits another club, James will get paid off because James has been shown to bluff somewhat often, so now he's not going to get as much credit for his bets.
James bets 300,000 chips over to Steve. Steve grabs his chips real quick. He's not going anywhere. He makes the call instantly.
Steve is hoping one of his outs for his draws will come in. He thinks he has a double gut shot for a straight and also a club could help, but he doesn't know that he's drawing dead.
And the river card is the Trey of diamonds, so no luck for Steve. He checks over to James. Now we'll see what kind of bet James puts out.
James is hoping that Steve has something to pay him off. We can see that Steve does not, unless Steve wants to try to make a move, but it's going to be hard to get James off of a flush.
What kind of bet size would you do here? 500,000 chips?
Yeah, I like 500,000. I think you want to go a little bit smaller because you want to get paid off. He bets 650,000. Steve sighs because he's like, oh, I had all these outs, but he should be happy none of his outs came.
This will be an easy fold for him, and he will be able to move on and try his luck at another hand. Hasn't released it yet, though. Give him a little more TV time. He's a good guy. He's a veteran.
He's like, look at all these outs I
Get
had.
that one hand.
You had no outs.
Do you have that one hand?
And he's going to fold.
What's that?
Do you have that
We
one
were
hand?
just waiting for that to happen. And James is going to win the hand and stack more
what I'm talking
chips
about, right?
into his stack.
Yeah, I'm
He
pretty
would
sure.
love to be our newest HPT champion, not only for the title, but the cash, Maria, $89,484.
James looks down at King 3 offsuit, and he limps in.
Over now to Steve. Looks at 5-4. Talk about how your hand selection changes so much when it's just heads up.
Yeah, I think that you have to probably be limping in on the button with a wide range of hands. There's definitely very few hands you're probably going to fold on the button.
And this is one of those reasons as the flop is 2 4s and a 10. Nice little flop there for Steve. And wow, look at the turn card. Another 4.
The flop goes checked around, and now Steve has quads, so he's just really hoping that James has something that he could call with if he bets.
Well, it's been a while since I've seen quads on the show, Marie. I'll be honest with you.
Can't fault James for thinking King High could be good here.
It's a 100,000 chip bet and a quick call. River card now, the 6 of diamonds. Is there really any better feeling than having quads playing poker at a final table for life-changing money?
Steve bets 150,000. We'll see if James wants to look him up here with King High.
Little value bet out there, making the pot just over 500,000 chips.
I wouldn't blame James for calling here.
And he's going to make the call. And Steve's going to show his hand. Steve played that pretty well, Maria. I got to give him credit there. I like the way he played that hand.
Yeah, quads are real hard to play.
Probably not. I said nice bet on.
He bets 150,000 chips on the end, induces a call from James, and ends up making quads work and getting a pot of just over 600,000 chips.
We are in Reno, Nevada at the beautiful Grand Sierra Resort and Casino. Let's go to Amber Fukuda, who takes us around a tour of this beautiful property.
So this is the Grand Chairman Suite at the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino. Let's take a better look around. Wow. Life is grand at the Grand Sierra Resort. This Grand Chairman Suite is immaculate. I can't wait to come back and stay here at the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino.
Thanks for taking us behind the scenes there, Amber, but I gotta say, I kind of would rather be out there with her than in here with him.
Hey.
Come back for more action from the HPT.
Welcome back, everyone. The action's really picking up here at the Grand Sierra. Let's take a look at the chip count and get back to the poker.
And they are very close in chip counts, basically just 2 big blinds separating the two. James does have the slight edge with 3.9 million to Steve's 3.8 million.
We will crown a new champion on tonight's show. That person will go home with $89,484. But second place, not too shabby, $55,180.
Blinds are up to 50,000, 100,000 with a 10,000 ante.
And the flop is 8-7-5, couple of clubs, and what a flop for Steven.
Steven has flopped the 9 high straight here. James has an open-ended straight draw to the inferior straight.
And talk about Steve, this rush that he's on. He can't do anything wrong.
When you get your rush of cards in heads-up play, it's pretty hard to go wrong at that point.
James continues to bet 200,000 over to Steve now. Steve's going to raise to 600,000.
Steve decides he doesn't want to slow play right now, and he's just going to raise it up, hoping James has something to go with here.
Don't necessarily blame him for that. I kind of like the raise here. A couple of clubs out there on the board as well. So he raises to 600,000. Now James having the opposite luck of Steve at this final table. Things just aren't going very well for him the last few hands. Really for the last 5 or 6 hands, if you really want to be honest.
And if a 4 comes off for James, that's not going to be good news because he's going to have the second best straight.
So James is going to make the call.
So we'll see just how good Steve is running, because if Steve's running real good, then James would hit his 4 right now.
Well, there it is, Maria. The 4 of spades right on the turn.
And honestly, I mean, Steve was running good before this, but he is running really good. However, James is not drawing dead. If a 9 comes on the river, they'll actually chop, but James can't win. And James bets, and Steve quickly goes all in.
So the bet goes $900,000 and all in by Steve. A snap call by James. We turn the cards over, and James realizes what you just said. Just the 9 can only help him. Steve needs to go buy a Nevada lottery ticket after this thing. Jack of spades on the river, and that is going to do it. Steve wins the hand, and he's going to double up.
And he's going to double up in a huge way here. He has James against the ropes now. That hand is going to put James at a short stack disadvantage.
So everything going right for Steve Foudy here, Maria. The deck's just hitting him right in the face.
We should ask him later if it hurt. Steve raises to $200K. James is going to call with the 9-8 of diamonds.
All right, this is just getting crazy. Now 2 aces and a 5 come on the flop, so Steven makes 3 of a kind, and it goes check, check.
Steve trying once again to trap James. You can't really blame him. James is fairly aggressive. He gets James to walk right into his trap. James does move all in. Steven calls, and Steve's like, yep, I got this in the bag, because guess what, James? You need a 7 on the river. That is 4 outs. I feel pretty good about my 91% chance to win this HPT title.
Unbelievable turn of events for that man right there. Steve Foudy, 1 card away from being our newest HPT champion. The river card is the queen of clubs, and folks, that is going to do it. We have a new HPT champion. His name is Steve Foudy. Maria, his payday, $89,484.
Good game to our second place finisher, James Hayes. He was really aggressive, but just timing was kind of bad. Steve started picking up a lot of heat in the heads-up match.
Well, Maria, nobody likes to finish second place, but a nice payday for James, and now Amber joins him for his interview.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our coverage of the HPT final table. I'm standing next to James Hayes, our second place finisher. James, wow, what a game. Tell me what's going through your head right now.
A little groggy, and had a lot of fun. Can't wait to do it again.
Well, it's a good positive attitude. Now, I know it must be heartbreaking right now, going through those last couple hands, specifically the first one where you went all out 2 hands ago. Can you tell me about that at all?
I think we're just playing those kinds of hands, those low hands, and it was just bound to happen, and I was on the unlucky end of the stick that time.
Well, good luck to you, though. I mean, you're still walking away with over $55,000. What are your plans for that?
I'm going to Hawaii in a couple weeks. I guess it pays for that trip.
Good for you. There you go. Yeah, get some sun. Well, thank you so much, and good luck to you. This is James Hayes, our second place finisher for the HPT final table, who's going to walk with over $55,000. Back to you guys.
There we have it. Our newest HPT champion is Steve Foudy. I'm sure he's really excited about taking home just under $90,000, but let's see if this championship title means anything to him. He's down there talking to Amber Fukuda.
So Steven won over $89,000 and the title of our HPT champion. Steven, what a game. That was back and forth. I mean, it's crazy. How are you feeling right now?
Feeling good. Little tired, a little exhausted, but I feel all right. Yeah.
Maybe excited a little bit?
Yeah. Hasn't hit yet.
You?
Hasn't hit yet, but yeah, I will be excited eventually.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, Steven, pretty early on when heads up, I think it was like the second or third hand, you went all in and lost pretty good stack. What were you thinking then?
Well, I knew I made a mistake. That wasn't part of my strategy, was to build a big pot, and I did. So I kind of got committed after the flop. And I just knew I had enough chips to recover, and I just thought to myself, don't quit. I thought I still had a good chance, even though he had me like 7-1 in chips, 6-1 in chips. I was still confident after that, to be honest with you, and I just didn't want to panic, and I didn't, and I just thought that if I grinded it back, I would eventually come back, and I did.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you played a fantastic hand, both of you. Well, now, do you want to give any shout-outs to anyone?
Say hi to my daughter Brittany, I love you, and my sisters, all my sisters, Teresa, Mercy, and Angela, and all my friends and all my Raider fans out there. We're going to come back, Raider fans. 2 years.
In 2 years.
2 years.
Well, Steven, congratulations.
Yeah.
Again, I'm Amber Fukuda. You've been watching our coverage of the HPT final table here at the Grand Sierra. Next to me is our champion, Steven. Now, he's won over $89,000. So give it up for Steven. Woo!
All right, Maria, well, that's a wrap for tonight. We've crowned another HPT champion. Steve, very happy, going home with the title in just under $90,000. Before we go, what'd you think of the play at tonight's final table?
I was quite impressed, actually, and especially when it got to heads up. I think both players knew what they were doing, and James, unfortunately, just wasn't able to beat out both the skill and the luck of Steve Foudy, but congratulations to both players.
Now, if you're watching this and you think you have what it takes to sit right here at this nationally televised final table here on the HPT, well, why not give it a shot? Check out our webpage at hptpoker.com. Pick an event that will work for you. And who knows, maybe you'll be playing for the life-changing cash. For Amber Fukuda, and she's Maria Ho, I'm James Larson, and we'll see you on the HPT.